Hey, loves. I wanted to share with you something that happened to me some time ago. And it makes me wonder, did somebody actually perform a love spell on me? First of all, I know you guys don't know this, but I have been actively practicing abstinence for a whole almost 2 decades. And I suddenly was like feeling like I was in love, right? But it was like a way that I had never experienced. Now, here's the problem with that. There was no one around me. Now, me being me, it's not abnormal for me to have um, things around me. Let's just put it that way. You know, you got your soul tribe, your angels, your ancestors. You got, you got your whole warriors up there. I know I do. I got my warriors, okay? But this was different. Like I would hear this voice absolutely clear. And I was like, the fuck? Like, not saying that I don't hear other, like the rest of it clear, but it was so crazy. And I had to, I can honestly say that I have never felt that way about anyone, but there was no one there. So it was really, really weird, right? That's why I said somebody tried to do something to me. The thing is that I remember at the time I was going through something with in my life, like in my family, and I wasn't sure what it is that I was going to do. And I remember a question going through my mind, like, first I kept hearing, I can help you. And I'm like, what? And it had something to do with help me financially. And I was like, do I know you? And the crazy part is that I remember feeling this feeling of love. And then I remember there was drama. Now, understand, oh, I'm a channeler, okay? And at the time, I was living in this apartment complex. And I lived on the top floor, and there were people who lived under me. And there was like, the people just kept moving all around me. I was in the same place for 9 years, almost 10 years. But my neighbors kept moving all around me. And um, I remember that whatever was going on, it's like don't tell that one, don't tell that one, Eh, because I'm basically I'm over here right now fighting to remember the exact details when I just had them right there on the tip of my tongue. But the thing is that the oddest things happen to you. See, at that time, like I said, I lived in a complex where I had been in there, and I had people coming and going. But I was a bus driver. I drove public transit for the city bus at that time, and so it wasn't just that one city; it was the county, that part of that county, and so I was always around a whole bunch of people. And so it was really, really weird because I would feel these extreme bursts of love that I've only ever felt for well, not even to that degree did I feel that kind of love, even for my child when she was first born. And it was like, I remember this Virgo in me because I have all of these gifts and things like that, but that Virgo gets me out of sticky situations, people. Because I remember thinking, what the heck? Why do you feel like this? Did somebody do something to you? I remember thinking, who is this man? And then I literally remember thinking, this is a voice that you're hearing in your head. Now, at the time, I was going through a lot of stuff. My gifts were changing, shifting, doing weird stuff. And I'm going to be honest with you. Your girl went to the hospital, right? Because I couldn't sleep. And I went there, and I'm telling these people, I'm hearing voices, right? I was in my shower and I felt this pain in my chest. Before that, I had been asleep and it was really, really too hot. And I lay down and I went to sleep and I woke up to the smell of this fantastic smelling cologne that I had never smelt. Okay. So now I'm like, what is happening? Because that gift hadn't been there. That gift hadn't been there. Right. And so it was like all kinds of other things. Like this gift had just started to come into fruition. And I remember during this time, I'm sitting there, I'm talking to a friend of mine, and I'm smelling melon. And I clearly, distinctly remember the smell of this melon. But I'm there with this friend who was an empath, and as I'm smelling this fantastic scent of melon, he's sneezing. And I'm like, do you smell that? And he's like, no, in between sneeze. Like, I mean, this is like somebody blew some pepper up his nose or something, like black pepper up his nose. And he's just sneezing, 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 sneezing. And I'm like, what is going on with you? He's like, I don't know. He said, there's something going on around you. I'm smelling melon, cantaloupe, or honeydew or something. He's sneezing. And we're just sitting there trying to figure something out. We're both looking at each other like, interesting. So that wasn't a gift that I had that I knew of. Now, the gift of being able to literally taste my mother's meatloaf and a roast beef, I always chalked that up as a little kid because I had that when I was little. I always chalked that up to being greedy. I was just greedy. I'd be in school, I'd be like, man, I could taste my mom's meatloaf. To the point, I talked about this meatloaf so much, some of my kids used to call me meatloaf. I mean, some of my kids, some of the kids at the school used to call me meatloaf because I would just talk about this meatloaf. It still is pretty good too. I'm not gonna lie. That lady can make some meatloaf. Oh, dry mouth. So she, these things were happening. They were coming into fruition very, very, very acutely. And so now I always knew when I was little, I always knew that if I think about somebody long enough or hard enough, they would call. I knew that from the time I was little. If I wanted my dad to call, I would just keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, and then he would call. And so, ooh, excuse me, I'm always yawning. So yeah, and then he would call. And I remember doing that to one of my friends that had been in the military, and I would think about it, he would call, but it wasn't just them, it was other people too. And I always be like, that's our psychic connection. And they would laugh and, but they didn't realize I was serious. That's our psychic connection. Like, but I would always just like kind of play it off like, that's our psychic connection. So, yeah. But anyway, back to me thinking somebody just, your girl went to the hospital. I was in there because I thought I was going crazy. On top of that, I kept having this pain in my chest. And I remember hearing, don't go to the hospital. It's not what you think. And I went to the hospital. And when I got there, I told them, I was like, I don't know if somebody slipped me something, but something is not right, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching the guy from the ambulance and a nurse, and they're talking and they're looking at me and they're talking. And I'm in the emergency room, not realizing how strong my empathic abilities are now. Okay. So I'm in the hospital with all of these sick people. And I'm looking and I'm hearing voices, but it's like a lot of them. And then I'm like looking at these two people because the nurse had just checked me out, and the guy from the ambulance, he was the one who was with me when I was, he brought me to the hospital. And I hear them saying these crazy things about, I don't know if they were trying to kill me. I said, oh girl, oh, you done finally snapped now. Right? I was like, but I didn't. Um, but it did take me a couple days to realize. I had to say to myself, Randy, you don't have these ailments, these things. You know you're not crazy. So you need to figure out exactly what's going on with you because, baby, you done upgraded. And you didn't understand to the degree an upgrade could possibly be. And it's possible that this isn't even your final one. But you done upgraded. So I told the doctor, I was like, I, I'm hearing things and it sounds crazy. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was telling him, I was like, those two people over there, that nurse and that ambulance guy, they said they're going to kill me right now. I'm in the hospital. I'm going to tell you what I was diagnosed with. But the doctor was like, we're going to check to make sure you didn't have a stroke. It was that bad. Like, I went in, I'm like, something is wrong. I think I'm having a heart attack. The doctor, they checked me. They hadn't checked me yet. But then I started that they were talking backwards. What they were saying, they didn't say that. They said the exact opposite of what it is that I heard. But I was far enough away from them. And see, this is one of those things you got to actually think about and pay attention to when your gifts are coming into fruition. I was too far away from them to actually hear them talking. Now, with all of this other stuff going on around me, I wasn't right there by them. They were a good maybe 20 to 30 feet away from me. And I was in an area where people were being checked in, and it was a bad night to go to the emergency room that night. It was a ton of people in there. There were people screaming, there were people crying, there were people shouting, and those were the patients. So just imagine what was going on with my empathic self with these newly heightened empathic abilities. And I'm in there, and I'm going to be real with you. I don't mean to, I'm trying to stop my potty mouth, but the shit was crazy. The shit was crazy. And I'm just sitting in the doctor's like, we're gonna get you checked, make sure you didn't have a stroke. A heart attack and a stroke. We're gonna check and make sure that's not the case. I had a cajillion amount of uh what do you call them? MRIs, EKGs, what's the other one? I had they just would like it was a few of them, and there was a lot going on with my chest, a lot going on with my brain, a lot just going on, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and they were like, when was the last time you slept? And I was like, by then I was like maybe 3, 4 days where I had barely slept because every time I would sleep, it would be like too hot. And I lived in a beach town. I had our apartment. We were in California in a beach town. Our apartment didn't have air conditioners. None of them had air conditioners on them. So we always had like these beautiful coastal breezes coming through. Where I lived, it only got really, really, truly hot one day out of the year. And that wasn't today. And so it was really, really crazy. But what made me think I was having a heart attack, I just remembered this. I got, I got up, I woke up from the smell of cologne. I couldn't understand where the smell was coming from. And it was so hot, I said, I'm going to go take a shower. And while I was in the shower, I felt like this pain. But for like 3 days prior to that, I kept like hearing this voice saying, "You're having a heart attack. You're having," like over and over. It would be repeated 3 times. And so now I woke up and I heard that, but at the same time I smelled this cologne and I'm like, what in the whole heck? It's so hot. So I go and I get in the shower and I'm in the shower and I passed out. I fell out of the shower. And as I was falling, because I'm really tall, as I was falling, I caught myself on the wall opposite of the tub. And I remember like this pain, this crazy feeling in my chest and recalling a voice saying I was having that. And I remember calling my parents because they were the closest to me. And then I called the ambulance, which my mom did the same thing. But days before that, I remember, I said in an earlier post how I had someone every day I would get up to go to work, and every day I kept channeling someone, and they were just angry, like just angry and trying to make my day bad. Well, I remember hearing a male trying to tell me that he was apologizing because he was having a baby with someone. And he just kept telling me he was having a baby with someone. And I was so upset by this. Now, I don't know who this person is at this moment, right? I was so upset by this. But me, oh, look at that confirmation. Yeah, I know I was upset. Me being me, I'm like, well, you go ahead, with your life and your family and blah, blah, blah. This is not somebody that's in my life. This is like something I'm channeling. I don't know if this is a person, a thing, an idea, one of my neighbors. I don't know, but I'm just like, go ahead and you know, take care of your child and whatever. I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about me. You got a baby coming. Blah blah blah. Now I'm upset, but I'm just like I'm a stand down. But the problem is that I'm just not that nice. Okay, but I'm like, okay, there's a kid. There's no need for me to be, this person. I don't know who exactly this, but I'm upset. But I have no reason to be upset. But like I said, I'm feeling like I have these loving feelings towards this. We might as well just say it's a voice, right? And so I have no idea now. I was already trying to figure out. This happened after the offer of helping me, and I was like, I don't even know you. And then all of a sudden, there's a baby coming, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, and then I hear a female's voice, and the female says something kind of catty. Now, I had been through this calm phase for a really long time when I lived in California. And so it was very rare. Like, I wasn't going to let nobody just let's walk all over me. But at the same time, I was just like, la 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 la. I was bibbity boppity booing. I was cool. I was good. But I remember this female voice saying something kind of catty. And I snapped. Now, before that, I think before that, I had had a dream and someone had walked up to me and she came at me aggressively and there was three identical of her. And by the time I finished with her, I scared the other two so bad that they ran away and left her. And I remember walking away like nobody talks to me like that. Nobody approaches me like that. And that was crazy. So it was like a lot of somebody did something to me, and I know they did. And I know that it wasn't a slip of a Mickey or anything like that because there was nothing there. There was nothing wrong with me. All of my scans, all of my blood work, all of my everything when I went to the hospital came back completely normal. Completely normal. There was nothing wrong with me other than I hadn't been sleeping. So they just said my diagnosis was severe insomnia and that I needed to sleep and I had to go see a sleep specialist, which I did for quite a while. And he kept me home so because I couldn't sleep, which meant I couldn't drive the bus because if you don't sleep, that's like similar to being intoxicated. And if you're intoxicated while driving, well, we all know what the result of that is. You're not supposed to drive intoxicated, especially not a public transit bus with passengers on it. So I don't know. I just know that when when I decided clearly in my mind, when I started questioning clearly in my mind this feeling of love. Like, and I honestly believe not everyone is susceptible, but not everyone is capable of doing what it is that I'm about to say I did. What I did was I started questioning the rational part of me, that Virgo, that analytical part of me was like, what is this? Why do you feel this way? You've never felt this way about anyone at all in your entire life. What is this feeling? And why is it happening? Because this is not normal that you would have this with someone physically being in your life. So, what is this? Once I started questioning it in my mind, questioning why am I feeling this way, the intensity immediately went down by half. The more I questioned it, the more I thought about it, the more I tried to figure out what is this, it rapidly decreased in intensity. And I mean, I was like on attack mode when a female got catty with me, claiming to be the woman who was pregnant with his child. Him who? So, like I said, I don't know if it was like a neighbor, a passenger, a coworker, but that was terrible. That was a very terrible experience. I actually went through heartache in a way that I had never experienced before ever. And I I just couldn't believe it. Why would someone do that to me? Now, at the time, I believed in a lot of things, but I just couldn't understand why would someone do that to me? I'm a really, really nice person. But like I said, I'm not that nice. I am nice until you make me not nice. I am exceptionally nice. I believe in treating people the way that I want to be treated. And I want to be treated in love and respect. And so for the most part, people say you got to earn respect. For me, I give you the respect, not that's due to you. I give you the respect of your status to me. Okay? You lose that respect with me, not the other. You don't gain it. You either maintain it or you lose it. But I'm I'm not a automatically disrespectful person. So, like I said, I want to be treated with respect, with love and respect. So, yeah, peeps. Yeah, this world is crazy. These people are not nice sometimes. I'm not saying everyone. And maybe that wasn't something that was done to be not nice. That could have been someone who genuinely liked me. But step to me and say something to me. You like me? You tell me you like me. Because I'm going to be real. I don't pay attention to that until you actually say, hey, I like you. You want to go out? You want to do this? You want to do that? You know, I'm not going to pay you no mind. Boo boo. I've been abstinent for almost 2 decades. All that go over my head. All of it. Okay? You can sit there and stare at me all love struck and whatever you want to do. All that goes over my head. All right. Bye, peeps.